further ado, I'd like to introduce you, Mike D'Angelo.
Thank you, Casey. You're good. So, welcome. Glad you guys are here. This is going to be great. Got a lot of information today, which is going to be cool. Casey had asked me to do this workshop, I think, I don't know, back in like January or February or something, and I was like, okay, cool, man. I'll do one on program design. That'll be great. And then I realized, and I knew right as soon as you asked me, I'm like, I don't know everything. So what I did was I brought in a couple of guys that I've been working with for a couple of years, and these guys are masters of their craft. And so John Sarsfield, come on up here, guys, real quick. I just want to introduce them, and then I'll go into what we got going on. So John began working in the fitness industry in 2007, has received a Bachelor of Science degree in kinesiology from UMass Amherst. He currently holds a certification as a certified strength and conditioning specialist through the NSCA. John currently works for Equinox as a Tier 4 coach, where he performs one-on-one training along with nutritional and lifestyle coaching. John is also a master educator for Equinox, teaching part of the in-house curriculum along with in-house workshops. He was Equinox Trainer of the Year in 2011. Equinox, I don't know if you guys know much about Equinox, but they are killing it in the industry when it comes to personal training. And this guy won Trainer of the Year. And how many trainers are at Equinox? Couple thousand, right? And Mark is a certified strength and conditioning specialist through NSCA with a passion for all things fitness. Despite him being only in his mid-20s, he has worked and studied relentlessly and has gained a tremendous amount of wealth of knowledge. And he graduated from Springfield College. Mark has an unparalleled dedication to his clientele into the advancement of exercise science field and is currently pursuing a doctorate in physical therapy. So the reason why I asked these guys to come here, I've been training for 22 plus years, and I don't come across that many trainers that are so tuned in. And these guys are unbelievably tuned in, and I am so glad that they're here, and we're going to kill it. It's going to be great. All right, cool.
Collecting baseline data in terms of like where your client's at, mostly physically, like body fat measurements, things that are going to drive your client to their goals. Because let's face it, most of our clients come in the door. What do they want? They want to look good. So collecting that data to understand where they're at and where they want to be mentally is extremely critical for motivating your clients. Some of this information isn't necessarily going to be what motivates your clients, but it's very critical to get how they're moving currently, because it's going to drive your program to be a lot more efficient and successful, which will get your client to their goal faster, right? Everybody wants to get to the goal as quickly as possible. So we're going to go into now like movement assessment and application for program designing, okay? We already talked about introduction, so I think we can breeze right through this, but firstly, why do we want to use a movement screen? And let me see where everybody's at right now. Is anybody in the room currently using any movement screens when they work with clients? Okay, what movement screens do we use? You're using the FMS? Okay, great, because that's really the direction I'm going to go in. I mean, that's the most widely used one right now. There's some other movement screens that are probably a little bit more isolative, but the FMS, as far as I know, is really the only current movement screen that's going to look at full patterns, which is an important part of movement, right? So why do we use a movement screen? It's going to work initially like a compass. It's going to allow the trainer to see where the client is currently and also the best direction to go in, the most efficient direction to go in, okay? It's a risk assessor. So you use your movement screen, you get a raw score. It's going to, right off the bat, tell you, number one, what exercises you should not be doing with your client. So there's a lot of trainers who will start to marry certain exercises. You got trainers that say, all my clients are going to squat, all my clients are going to deadlift, all my clients are going to press, whatever. That's, once again, like Mike was talking about, that's subjective information. We need to collect objective information, okay? So all humans generally need certain fundamental movements that we're going to go into loosely. And everyone in this room, regardless of what the end goal is, we all need to move the same. So this is going to tell us where we're at in terms of the movements we need to do, and also then what exercises we should do, we shouldn't do, and what exercises you should be doing to see improvement with your clients drastically. On this, what does every human need to at least be? Well, mobile and stable, and then strong. So everyone, doesn't matter who you are, in a perfect world, we would all be right here at all times. When you get your clients to come in the door, they're usually too low, they're not here. This is just a starting point. Does everyone need to get here? Hell no. But you also want to remember that, like, after you achieve your clients, let's say their physical goals of like X amount of body fat, X amount of lean tissue, then what? All right, thanks for the help, John. I'm out the door. No. I want to keep that money rolling in. So then I'm like, hey, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever tried this? And I try to get them to get to whatever the highest level of performance that they're capable of is. And I train a lot of, like, you know, older clients that they're doing things now that they never thought they could do, you know?
And I'm not going to come up here and tell you guys anything that I don't practice myself, right? So I'm not just spitting out numbers to you and percentages. These are all things that I've done over the course of my life at some point or another. So whether it's the most basic thing we go over or some of the more advanced stuff we go over, I've worked with some of the most elite coaches in the country, guys that are doing strength and conditioning for the New York Giants, for the Miami Dolphins, the USC Trojans, Auburn Tigers, and that all sounds great, but we don't work with elite athletes, so how does that tie into what we're talking about, which is the general population? Basically what John said is, once you get past this 14, where do we take it from there? Once we build capacity, where do we take it from there? And I'm going to kind of show you those options and then how we can kind of manipulate the different variables in the exercise selection. We'll start off with adaptation and the training effect, and this is pretty much the basis of why we work out. So fitness itself is just the body being able to cope with whatever stressor you throw at it, okay? So whatever particular task you do, I have the overload, right? Dip. I'm resisting, I'm accommodating for that stress, and then if I continue to provide the same stress, I'm going to have a dip in training again and potentially overtrain myself. There is overreaching, which is really advanced, and this is just driving down to the point of almost getting to overtraining, but you don't overtrain. You hit the recovery methods, you spike up even further than a regular accommodation would. So here is kind of what it looks like on good stress, bad stress, perfect timing, not enough stress. This is called progressive overload. We might know it as super compensation. Has anyone heard of super compensation? It's probably used a little more. The changes occur in the nervous system, endocrine system, muscular system, skeletal system. They happen all across the board. So some happen faster than others, like the nervous system is pretty quick to pick up on some things. The skeletal system takes up to 6 months, right? The change in metabolism is usually what is required to have these significant effects. So hormonally, my bloodscape is different, it looks different. The way I use substrates for energy, that's completely different after training. And you can manipulate those variables by proper training and proper scheduling of different training variables that we're going to cover later.